I am Mark, virtual teacher instructor at Egnatia Career College. Today we'll teach Fixture and Equipment Installation. This is video number 7. Fixture and Equipment Installation. Most plumbing fixtures and equipment are installed during the trim-out phase of construction. Most bathtubs are installed during the rough-in phase, but some large-capacity tubs are installed into a platform during the trim-out phase. A water heater is typically installed during the trim-out phase or after the water distribution testing. The final drain and water connections to fixtures and equipment are not subjected to the same testing requirements as the rough-in piping. All residential toilets have a wax seal where the fixture is connected to the drainage system, and they have only a cold water connection. All sinks have a hot and cold water connection and a P-trap connecting the drain outlet of the fixture to the drainage system. The water supply and drains for most bathtubs and showers are installed during the rough-in phase and need to have only the trim items installed. All sinks and toilets have an isolation valve called a stop. A wall or floor escutcheon is installed before the stop to conceal the whole opening of the pipe through the wall or floor. An ice maker and washing machine box require only the trim plate to be installed. A plumber installs a dishwasher while installing the kitchen sink. Escutcheons and stops. Every ceiling, wall, or floor stub-out must have an escutcheon installed to conceal the pipe penetration. The pipe penetration through a fire-rated ceiling, wall, or floor creates a small opening that must be sealed with an approved fire caulk before the escutcheon is installed. Some codes also dictate that a pipe penetrating a non-fire-rated ceiling, floor, or wall must also be sealed to prevent insects from entering a home through the pipe penetration. Escutcheons are available in plastic or metal forms, and exposed escutcheons are color-coordinated with the faucet or other trim items. A split escutcheon can be installed around a pipe after the stop is installed, but it is not visually attractive. Escutcheons are ordered for the pipe being served in either tubular or iron pipe size. Every fixture except a bathtub and a shower faucet must have an isolation valve or a stop. The boiler drains that are installed in the washing machine box during the rough-in phase serve to isolate a washing machine. The wall trim plate conceals the wall opening. An ice maker box is similar to a washing machine box, and the isolation valve is also part of the rough-in installation. Sink stops are installed below the fixture and connected to the stub-out pipe. They do not have to be color-coordinated with the faucet finish if they are located in a cabinet. A toilet stop is installed onto the stub-out pipe and is coordinated with the trim finish of the faucets in the bathroom. A separate stop might isolate a dishwasher under the kitchen sink, or a dual stop might isolate the dishwasher and hot water supply to the kitchen sink faucet. The type of pipe used as a stub-out determines the connection of a stop to the stub-out pipe. A PEX stub-out pipe requires a stop compatible with that pipe. The connection method is the same as the one used to install the PEX piping during the rough-in. A copper stub-out pipe is connected to a stop with either a compression connection or a solder joint. A stub-out pipe that penetrates through the floor typically requires a straight stop. A wall stub-out pipe usually uses an angle stop. The outlet side of a stop is a compression connection regardless of the stub-out pipe installed. Toilets. The water supply is located on the left side of all toilets, with the stop and escutcheon installed the same as for other fixtures. The stop and escutcheon can be installed before the toilet or, to provide a more exact installation, the toilet can be installed first. Because the water supply connection to the tank for a one-piece toilet is typically closer to the floor, the stop must be positioned more exactly for it than for a two-piece toilet. A two-piece toilet is sold with a compatible tank and bowl, and a plumber must combine these two items. Some plumbers install the bowl to the drainage system before installing the tank, others assemble the set before installing the toilet. The tank is secured to the bowl with non-corrosive bolts designed specifically for this purpose and provided with the tank. Most tanks use a 2-bolt pattern, some have 3 bolts. A rubber gasket is provided with each tank bolt to seal the bolt penetration through the bottom of the tank. Most toilet tank designs require a plumber to install a foam rubber gasket, provided with the tank, that prevents the water that is leaving the tank and entering the bowl from leaking. The gasket, called a close-couple gasket or tank-to-bowl gasket, is installed over the threaded portion of the flush valve on the bottom side of the tank. Some manufacturers install a rubber gasket that serves installation as the seal between the tank and the bowl. In this case, the plumber does not have to install a separate close-couple gasket. The plumber should review the manufacturer information provided with each toilet for specific instructions about the fixture being installed. The water connection to a toilet requires a supply tube, known as a tank supply, that is designed to mate with the fill valve. A tank supply is an exposed chrome-plated, soft copper tubing with a flat end that connects the stop to the fill valve with a compatible securing nut provided with the tank. Flexible plastic and braided stainless steel versions of a tank supply are available, each with a distinct connecting end that is beveled instead of flat. The soft copper tank supply is bent by hand or with a bending tool to create the required offset to connect it to the fill valve and stop. The trade name for the fill valve is ball cock. It regulates the water level in the toilet tank. The toilet is installed onto the closet, toilet, flange and sealed with a manufactured wax ring often called a wax seal. The wax seal is either installed to the underside of the toilet or installed directly on the closet flange. Most manufacturer instructions recommend installing the wax seal onto the toilet, but many plumbers place the wax ring onto the flange and set the toilet over it. A plastic accessory called a horn is molded into some wax seals, but wax seals without the horn are more common and do not restrict the flow from the toilet. A closet flange allows two different anchoring selections to secure the toilet to the closet flange. One option has a large slot that allows a plumber to adjust the closet bolts slightly in case the flange is not installed to exact dimensions from the back wall. In the second option, small slots require the plumber to install the closet flange to an exact dimension from the back wall. Most plumbers use the larger slot option. Once the flange is installed to the drain pipe, the next step is to install the closet bolts. A pair of 1/4-inch closet bolts is sold as a set along with the required flat washers and hex nuts to anchor the toilet to the closet flange. Plastic decorative bolt caps and retainer washers that conceal the nut and washer of the closet bolt set are sold with the toilet. Each closet bolt is cut with a miniature hacksaw after the nuts are securely fastened to allow the bolt caps to be installed. A toilet seat is purchased by color and bowl design, either round or elongated. Residential toilet seats have a hinged lid and installation is self-explanatory. Some codes require the base of a toilet to be caulked where it sits on the finished floor. If so, the caulk should be the same color as the toilet. This figure illustrates the connection of the stop and fill valve using a soft copper tank supply tube. Lavatories. Most residential lavatory sinks are pre-molded with the countertop from cultured marble. A general contractor typically provides and installs the combined countertop and sink, and a plumber installs the faucet and drain to create a functioning plumbing system. Numerous faucet designs are available, each of which is installed according to manufacturer instructions. A plumber must review the manufacturer information when installing a specific faucet for the first time to ensure that the installation is correct. Some faucets use a specific supply tube known as a lavatory supply. Other faucets use a compression coupling union connection. Every fixture is protected by a P-trap to prevent sewer gas from entering an occupied space. The size of the stub piping serving a lavatory is either 1 1/4 inches or 1 1/2 inches. A plumber typically installs a 1 1/4 inches P-trap. Therefore, a 1 1/2 inches by 1 1/4 inches trap adapter is sold with many P-trap assemblies. If a 1 1/2 inches P-trap is installed, it will have a 1 1/2 inches trap adapter. A reducing slip joint washer is required to connect the P-trap to the 1 1/4 inches drain from the sink. Most residential lavatories use a pop-up drain assembly, which is sold with the faucet. The manufacturer installation instructions include specific information about the drain assembly. The overflow drain on a residential lavatory is provided by the sink manufacturer. If the tailpiece provided with the pop-up assembly is to be connected with the trap inlet, a longer threaded 1 1/4 piece or extension tailpiece is installed. If it is made of metal, it is cut to the desired length with a copper tubing cutter. Plastic tailpieces are cut with the appropriate PVC saw. Kitchen sinks. The tools required to install a kitchen sink are the same as for a lavatory sink, with the possible addition of a larger pair of pliers and a Phillips screwdriver. Numerous styles of kitchen sinks are available, and many have unique installation methods. Most kitchen sinks are installed into a cut opening of a countertop and on the countertop. Some plumbers cut the hole into the countertop. Usually the general contractor provides the opening based on the dimensions provided by a plumber. Kitchen sinks in residential construction are often made of stainless steel or cast iron. The weight of a cast iron sink provides the stability needed to maintain its permanent position on the countertop. A plumber typically applies caulking to the edge of the cutout area of the countertop as the cast iron sink into the hole. The excess caulking is cleaned with a wet rag. A stainless steel sink must be fastened with clips provided with the sink. Putty or caulk is applied under the rim of the sink or around the cutout area of the sink. The sink is then inserted into the cutout and attached from under the countertop with the fastening clips. The faucet is typically installed onto the sink before the sink is installed onto the countertop to increase productivity. Basket strainers can be installed in the drain openings of a stainless steel sink before the sink is installed. Basket strainers are installed after a cast iron sink is installed because drain openings are required to safely install a heavy sink. The drain connection arrangement below the sink varies based on the location of the stubout, the number of bowls, whether a garbage disposer or a dishwasher is installed, and company preference. Code allows a single P-trap to connect a double bowl sink, and a plumber typically uses an arrangement known as a continuous waste, which is purchased as a kit. If a garbage disposer is installed in one side of a double bowl sink, a plumber typically installs a separate P-trap for each drain opening. If a dishwasher is installed, the discharge hose is connected to a designated connection on the side of a garbage disposer. If there is no garbage disposer, the dishwasher is connected to a tailpiece designed for connecting the dishwasher hose to the sink drain. The electrical connection to a garbage disposer is installed by an electrician, not by a plumber. If an air admittance valve, AAV, is the vent for the sink, it is installed during this phase of construction. The type of water supply to the faucet varies depending on the type of faucet installed. Some connections have a lavatory supply, others require a compression coupling union. Dishwashers. A plumber provides the water and drain connections to a dishwasher. A general contractor or building owner typically provides the dishwasher. The hot water supply is routed from under the kitchen sink, and the drain hose from the dishwasher is connected to either a dedicated connection of a garbage disposer or a tailpiece designed for that purpose. A manufacturer provides installation information, and a plumber must review that data before installing a specific unit. Most dishwashers have a rubber connector on the end of the hose that is connected to the disposer or tailpiece. A plumber secures that connection with hose clamps. Two short wood screws are provided with the dishwasher to anchor it to the underside of the countertop. Damage to the countertop can result if longer screws are used. The dishwasher must be installed so that the sides are flush with the face of the cabinets and the top of the door is level with the countertop. A dishwasher has leveling legs that are adjusted to accomplish this installation. A hole is drilled in the side of the sink base cabinet as high as possible to route the drain hose to the sink area. The drain hose is connected at the factory to a pump located under the dishwasher. Some codes require an air gap device to be installed in a hole dedicated for that purpose on a kitchen sink. If so, the drain hose is routed through that device and then to the sink. A smaller hole is drilled at the bottom of the cabinet to route the water supply from under the sink to below the dishwasher. The water supply connection for a dishwasher is 3/8 inches female iron pipe, FIP, size, and a brass compression 90 degrees fitting is manufactured to connect the 3/8 inches soft copper tubing to the dishwasher. This fitting is used in various places within a piping system, but it is often referred to as a dishwasher elbow L. The water supply is connected to a factory-installed solenoid valve that is electrically activated and located under the dishwasher. The electrical connection to a dishwasher is installed by an electrician, not by a plumber. Laundry sinks. The tools required for installing a laundry sink are the same as for a lavatory, with the possible exception of a Phillips screwdriver and a level. The two most common types of laundry sinks are wall-mounted or have four legs that are secured to the floor. A drill might be needed to install anchors into the floor. If the sink is installed on a concrete floor, a hammer drill may be required to drill holes into the floor to install anchors. The water supply connections are similar to a lavatory installation. Knockout spots are present on laundry sinks where the faucets are installed that must be removed by a plumber. The faucet ledge can be drilled to install a faucet that is different from those that are typically designed for a laundry sink or to install accessories such as a soap dispenser. The drain connection is the same as for any sink, and it has a P-trap as well. The trap size is 1.5 inches, and it has a flanged tailpiece to connect the sink strainer to the P-trap. A wall-mounted version requires a plumber to install wood backing in the wall during the rough-in phase. A hanger bracket that is installed during the trim-out phase is provided with the sink. The hanger bracket is installed with wood screws at a height determined during the rough-in phase. The sink is typically not more than 36 inches from the rim to the floor. The sink is suspended from the hanger bracket, and two side panels are installed. These panels provide additional stability when the sink is filled and conceal the piping behind the sink. Water heaters. Local codes and manufacturer instructions must be followed when installing a water heater. Many codes dictate, and all manufacturers recommend, using an expansion tank on the incoming water supply. An isolation valve must be installed on the cold water piping near the inlet of the water heater, so the expansion tank is on the downstream side of the isolation valve. If local codes require a check valve, it should be installed between the isolation valve and the expansion tank. A typical residential water heater has 3/4 inches male or female threaded water supply connections. Most codes dictate that copper or other metal piping be installed to connect the rough-in piping to the water heater. Some codes allow using copper flexible connectors designed for that purpose. Dielectric unions are often used, and may be dictated by codes to prevent electrolysis when copper is connected to the steel connection points of a water heater. The physical location of the water heater of 10 determines the extent of the actual installation. Most codes dictate that any water heater located above a finished area must be installed in a safety pan. The pan drain piping would typically be installed during the rough-in phase. The discharge piping from the relief valve is installed by a plumber, with the termination point depending on local codes and the location of the water heater. Most relief valve outlet connections on a residential water heater are 3/4 inches female threaded connections and require a plumber to install a 3/4 inches male adapter. Most codes dictate that the relief valve discharge piping must be made of copper or some other metal, so the extreme hot water discharge does not damage it. If your local codes have unique installation requirements, such as earthquake protection, you would need to adhere to those installation requirements as well. The tools required to install a water heater depend on the piping methods used. All pipe connections can be tightened with a pair of pliers, an adjustable wrench, or a small pipe wrench. If you use copper tube, you will need all the tools required to solder copper fittings. Flux, solder, and sand cloth are required for copper connections, and if PEX or CPVC is connected to the copper, you will need the tools required to install those systems. Electric water heaters. On an electric water heater, a plumber connects the hot and cold water piping from the rough-in stubouts to the designated inlet and outlet connection on the top of the heater. The type of piping used dictates the actual installation steps. Converting dissimilar materials such as PEX to copper must be performed using approved methods. An electric water heater can be installed with minimal clearance to combustible material. A manufacturer indicates any dangerous conditions pertaining to the specific heater. Electric water heaters are not as heavy as gas water heaters, but they are fragile and 2 people should install them in place. A hand truck or other equipment moving aids should be used to protect the water heater from damage and to avoid injury to the lifters. Most codes allow the safety pan for an electric water heater to be plastic due to the lack of heat generated externally from the water heater. An electrician connects the electrical wiring to the water heater, but the manufacturer installs all internal operating devices and wiring. After the water supply connections are complete, the tank is filled with water and all air is removed by opening a hot water faucet. The electrical current is then energized to make sure that hot water is being produced. Gas water heaters. The tools required for a gas water heater installation are the same as for an electric water heater, with the exception of needing 2 pipe wrenches to connect the gas piping system. Some codes require a special gas license to connect the gas supply to the heater. The water supply connection methods and code information may be the same for a gas water heater and an electric water heater. Codes vary pertaining to the gas supply connections and venting regulations. The specific water heater dictates many of the installation methods. One code for gas different from that for electric water heaters is that the safety pan must be made of metal rather than of plastic. A manufacturer's label on the water heater indicates what the clearance must be from combustible materials, which varies. The gas supply pipe arrangement is fairly typical for most residential water heaters. The gas regulator, gas valve, has a 1/2 inches female threaded connection. The manufacturer installs all operating devices and piping in the burner assembly area, and a plumber simply provides a single gas connection. Most codes dictate that a drip leg must be installed to collect any small particles or moisture present in the gas supply system. A drip leg is assembled using Schedule 40 black steel pipe nipples and black malleable pipe fitting. Flexible metallic connectors designed for this purpose may be allowed by local codes. A gas cock or another approved isolation valve is installed near the water heater. The venting requirements of a gas water heater are dictated by code, type of heater, and job site conditions. A direct vent gas water heater has exact installation requirements. The heater is placed according to manufacturer instructions and code regulations. After a direct vent water heater is situated, the venting portion is complete, but many codes mandate that an HVAC contractor install the venting flue system. After the flue portion is installed, the plumber connects the gas and water supply systems. When the tank is filled with water and all air is removed from the tank and system, the gas supply is activated and tested for leaks. A specially formulated soapy solution is applied to the gas pipe connections to inspect for visible signs of a leak. Once the gas system is tested and inspected, the water heater can be operated and tested.